7. I'm looking up at the screen and I know that I've got a few hands up early. I'm going to go to Bruce Delgado. Bruce, there's something you want to share with us?
Yeah, good morning, Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'll be here from home, but I'm not sick. I just had to stay here for work purposes.
So I don't think we can count your vote under the law, right?
I understand.
So thank you, Bruce. We appreciate you.
You betcha.
All right. I see 2 other hands that are cell phones. If they're members of this board, please go ahead and unmute yourself. If you are not members of this board, we will get you during public comment. All right. See no movement there. We'll continue to proceed. The first thing we're going to do, here's a quorum check. I'm going to go to staff to go ahead and prepare that for us.
District 1, Supervisor Alejo.
Javier here, third alternate. Linda is also trying to get on here as well. Thank you.
District 2, Supervisor Church.
Here.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Here.
District 4, Supervisor Askew. District 5, Supervisor Adams. Here. City of Carmel by the Sea.
Present, reporting from Delray Oaks City Hall, aka the infirmary.
City of Del Rio.
Here also at the infirmary.
City of Gonzales.
Here.
City of Greenfield.
Here.
City of King City.
Present.
City of Marina. City of Monterey.
Present.
City of Pacific Grove.
Here.
City of Salinas. City of Sand City. Here. City of Seaside.
Here.
City of Soledad. Ambag.
Here.
Caltrans District 5.
Present.
Monterey Bay Air Resource District.
Here.
Monterey Regional Airport District. Monterey Salinas Transit.
Here.
City of Watsonville. CSUMB.
Here.
Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you, Eloise. So with that, I'm going to see if Mayor Labart's mind leading us in the pledge this morning.
Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we've arrived at the time for public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to share comments regarding items not on today's agenda, but within the purview of this body. Again, if you're speaking to an item on the agenda, I know there's folks here for 331. This is not the time for that. For items that are not on today's agenda, I'll allow 2 minutes per speaker. I'll start in the room and see if there's anybody who has comments regarding items not on the agenda. See nobody in room. We'll go to Zoom. I saw a couple hands up. Will you call out the last 3 numbers of the first person there? 2837. We'll allow you to unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Brian Rosen, and I'm very concerned about the surf project is being it's environmentally destructive. The Coastal Commission wrote a letter in response to the environmental assessment, and it is said it is not approvable under Coastal Act Section 30240 or under the endangered species habitat policies of the various. The project is destructive. It has potential to cause significant disruptions to adjacent habitat areas, inconsistent with Coastal Act section and so. And the state parks also found very disruptive to the recreation trail and state park visitation. It would basically pave over 22 acres of sensitive environmental habitat inhabited by endangered species. It's a really bad idea. The Coastal Commission and both the Coastal Commission and state parks recommended looking into alternatives which haven't been done adequately, such as a carpool lane turning one of the lanes on Highway 1 into a carpool lane, which would be a heck of a lot cheaper and more effective than the SURF project, which would be environmentally destructive, would reroute, take out railroad tracks. And looking at the little simulated model of it, it would appear that it would be very difficult to get those railroad tracks in. If there's really room for both, why can't they just leave the railroad tracks where they are and go around it? I think it's a very bad idea. I think MST is not giving us proper data, and they don't want to give us answers, and they just refer us to reports that don't have the right answers. And the ridership forecasts are not not really clear, and I think they're out of the air. I don't think very many people are going to use it, because how many of you took the bus to go to the meeting today?
Thank you. We're going to go to the next speaker, 1705. Go ahead and allow you to unmute yourself, and please share your 2 minutes of comments with us.
Good morning. You are the most powerful collective people on this peninsula, all in one meeting. And I'm urging you not to vote for this SURF project ever. It's an insane waste of $79 million, and it could be better spent on MST bus lines that have been severely slashed within the intercity, making taking the bus an inconvenient nightmare. A carpool lane would be a better idea. MST says ridership is up, but when asked how they know, they tell you there is no accounting of the ridership. So I am, as an MST rider of 25 years, I can tell you ridership has diminished, not increased. And I am one of those that can no longer take the bus as much as I would like, because it takes too much time to get there, and I have to transfer too many times. I believe this is a far more reaching plan to open up the dunes for development, and Measure X was voted by the people for better transportation. Our national marine sanctuary is dying from overheat, and traffic is the main cause and development. If you're going to develop, vote to build up, not out. Please, you have the power, all of you, to either destroy this area and our marine sanctuary, or to make it and keep it. Please use every bit of power you can to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to phone number 7167. We'll go ahead and give you the floor. You have the opportunity to unmute yourself now.
Hi, I'm 7190, and I oppose this project funding because I agree with the other two speakers. State Parks and the Coastal Commission both are opposed to it. They don't want planning to develop on the dunes, which it is apparent it's going to take place on the other side of the dunes. $79 million to tear up the dunes could be far better spent increasing the ridership in both Monterey and on the peninsula, which I have noticed has gone. It's so bad now. You have to transfer many times, and it's slow. And my friend Janet Wilson, who is blind, for instance, who used to catch the bus in Del Monte Park or just adjacent to Del Monte Park, now has to walk almost a mile to catch the bus. I mean, all these things. I remember how my friend Margaret Young, who is now deceased, but she used to ride the bus to Carmel Valley Village once a week because she wanted the sun. And I would do it too with her. And I would go to Big Sur with her. And, you know, this was possible then. And please bring it back. Please bring back a bus schedule. Also, the development over the dunes that is proposed would tear down 91 full-grown trees, each of which absorbs a ton, more than a ton of carbon dioxide per year, and puts out wonderful amounts of oxygen for all of us. So bring back the bus to Monterey, and also the one from Monterey to Santa Cruz. But an even better idea is to develop
Good time.
to
Thank you
develop
very much.
a
We're gonna go
light
to our
rail.
next caller now, 7167. 7167.
So,
Oh, is it a visual? Oh, she was 01, so.
are there others?
Is the other one 831, that's a 707. That's, yes. All right, so 707-502-7167. Last call for you. Are there any other hands up via Zoom? Okay, so now they have hands up. We'll bring it back.
Are you still taking public comments on non-agenda items?
I've
can't
asked folks
do
to
it.
use the raise hand function to be recognized. For
If you're on there, go ahead.
All right,
Hello, this is 7167.
there you go. Go ahead. You got 2 minutes.
No problem at all. You are all very powerful people with good backgrounds, and I hope you are listening to the public that has called in today. It is a very serious matter that you hold in your hands. So I want you to think very, very deeply about this, because it's so easy in our society today to get into a track and get into a juggernaut and, in a sense, ruin things for the future. And in this case, I think the Coastal Commission, from what I know of the matter, is terribly concerned about this, and that a lot of the public still don't understand the gist of what is going on here. I think that there are many better ways of performing what is being discussed, and I think you must pay attention and have more public outreach before you reach such decisions. Really, the environment is going to be terribly impacted. And it seems as though ridership has gone down, and there are other things that one could try, such as a carpool. And I certainly do not like to see rail lines disrupted when very often, although it may be in the future, rail is often the answer to make transportation more inviting to the public in general. People do not like to get out of their cars once they own a car. So I don't think this is going to suffice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Stone, did you want to make a comment? I didn't see your hand up, but we can't hear you if you're talking.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. Sorry, I lost internet connection for a while.
Go ahead.
Okay, good morning, board members. I have a question for you. Why is Caltrans delaying the legally required answers to the public questions and comments on the proposed 9 roundabouts on Highway 68 that were submitted to Caltrans before the January 8 deadline as part of the draft EIR? Carla Yu, the Caltrans project manager, confirmed that their responses will not be released to the public until October, which is long after Caltrans is set to make a decision on the Highway 68 project later this spring. Why is Caltrans not posting their answers and responses as soon as they are completed so the public can view them, hold them accountable, and see the reasons for the actions that use millions of dollars in taxpayer funds and impact the local community for years to come? According to Carla Yu at Caltrans, quote, the preferred alternative is selected by Caltrans project development team based on consideration of several elements, mainly the purpose and need for the project, public comment and input on the DED, TAMC input, environmental impacts, property impacts, and cost. I would trust that the TAMC board members would want to see the answers and responses from Caltrans to the over 100 questions and comments from the public, including many objections and concerns from area residents. And I hope that they would do that before giving any input to Caltrans. These questions and comments challenge many of the claims that Caltrans has made. I urge each board member to ask Caltrans to supply their responses and to see them so that the public can be aware of what's going on. I asked the board to also review the number of questions that I submitted Monday that were part of these questions sent in before January 8th. Thank you
Thank you,
for your
Mr.
consideration.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else via Zoom? Seeing no hands up, seeing nobody else coming forward in the room, we'll close public comment and proceed forward. Next, we have our consent agenda. I do have 2 speaker cards for item 3.3.1 in the public. Is there any member of this body who wishes to pull an item from consent? Seeing none in room, anybody via Zoom? See no hands up. I'll entertain a motion for all consent less item 3.3.1.
I'll make that motion.
Second, shut up. Motion from LeVar, second from Oglesby. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
District 1, alternate Gonzalez.
Yes.
District 2, Supervisor Church.
Aye.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4, Supervisor Askew.
Hi.
District 5, Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Aye.
City of Delray Oaks.
Aye.
City of Gonzales.
Aye.
City of King City.
Aye.
City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Road.
Aye.
City of Sand City.
Aye.
City of Seaside.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you. All right, so now I'm gonna come back to item 3.3.1. I know we had some folks in the room that wanted to speak, so I'll call up Todd Clark first. Todd?
Hello, my name is Todd Clark, and my son and I, we operate the Museum of Handcar Technology. We operate hand cars and rail bikes across the Monterey branch lines. I want to talk a bit about honesty today, about the Surf Bus project. Less than 1 year ago, Carl Sidorik told this board of directors that the rail line would not be taken up for the bus lane, that it would not, that the tracks would remain in place. However, as we have come to find out, that approximately 2 miles of railroad is to be removed for this bus project. This isn't anything new. Back in 2019, this very issue was raised by TAMC staff. They raised concerns that you cannot remove this rail line. Mayor Potter, who was instrumental in getting this branch line purchased, also objected, but they were just steamrolled over. As recently as just in the last 6 months or so, Director Muck, in a response to the Coastal Commission, said that both the rail line and the busway can coexist together. However, that's impossible. There are topographical constraints, bridge supports, and so forth can't accommodate both of them. In addition, he told the Coastal Commission that this busway is compliant with Proposition 116. However, directly in the law of Prop 116, it specifically prohibits busways be built on as part of Prop 116 projects. I don't know how this was missed in the past. I picked it up in just a couple of minutes by reading the law and Googling the internet to find the text of this. So as far as the Surf Busway is an illegal project, it's not compliant with Proposition 116. And this idea of amending the voter approved initiative is just ridiculous. Thank you.
Mr. Clark. I'm gonna go to Mason Clark next.
Okay, hello, everybody. You remember me back in 2019, I was up here. It's been a long time. But I'm a Museum of Handcar Technology. So a few things here. So we talked about track removal. So I know when we came here, the board was talking about maybe a couple crossings over the track, but now we're looking at 2 miles of track removal. I mean, I counted it. I looked at every plan you have, and I measured it, 2 miles of track removal. Yeah, I'm not here, guys, today to gloat on myself or my business. This is not about me. This is about the rail line, the Monterey Branch rail line that you bought over 20 years ago with Prop 116 money. You know, everybody was under this impression there's going to be a train, intercity rail coming to it, but I don't quite understand how building the bus lane, it's one thing to build it next to the track, but to build it over the track, how that's going to improve the possibility of future rail service. So again, this is not about me, my business. This is about the rail line. Everybody, I know most people are very supportive of the rail line. Bring Amtrak to Monterey, that'd be a great thing. Coastal Commission is still, as some of those people have mentioned, very against this project. They are also for rail, though. I've looked at every comment that they have made, and they are very for rail. They are not for this. I'm not going to go into that, but that's the verdict here. You know, everybody wants rail. They don't want the bus lane. So finally, guys, my family started this business, Handcar Tours, because we have a passion for rail. We're not getting rich off of this. I could do many other things to make money. I'm not getting rich off this. I'm up here every weekend to run this business. We brought handcars and rail bikes, over 18,000 riders on this rail line that you purchased. 18,000 people have enjoyed it since we opened in 2021. And I encourage the board and TAMC to dust off those rail plans and pursue that. If you want to build a bus lane, you could build that. Next to track, you could build that on the freeway, just not on the rail. This rail line was built in 1879. Let's preserve that history. I thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else on item 331? See no one in room. I'm gonna go to Zoom. I see Bruce with your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I've always supported SURF. I still support SURF. I've always had questions about it, and those questions have always been answered well by Carl and Lisa and other staff at MST. So this kind of minor snafu, major snafu, whatever, snafus happen in projects of this size, and sometimes they cause delays. At our last board meeting, I just asked that the lease be allowed to continue operating the handcar until it's absolutely clear and necessary that SURF is coming in. And so I just want to repeat that today, that this kind of thing is not unusual. And I just hope that we as a board understand that C Monterey and the city of Marina and Monterey County like this project and benefit from this project. And so to terminate it unnecessarily would not do anyone any good. And so I just wanted to repeat what I said at our last board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. I'm gonna go to, I'm gonna close public comment at this point, bring it back and go to our membership at Delray Oaks.
It's me, Mayor Potter. So I'm concerned about the fact that it is now 2 miles of track being taken out. I was under the impression it was going to be paved over. I'm a little concerned about this, honestly.
Thank you, Mayor Potter. Bring it back to Todd. I know you had your hand there for a second.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. So on item 331, we're looking at a legislative update. I think we've heard clearly the request from the city of Marina, who wants to make sure that we leave as much opportunity for the current operators on that line, stay on the line until they must come off. And I think that was the intent of this board back when we took the item up in 19, as the person who constructed that particular compromise and allowed for that to happen initially. I feel that we're in a position where no good deed goes unpunished, but I'm happy to consider any motion on this particular item at this time to move it. Is there a motion on the legislative update?
Comment. No, thank you. So a lot of things I would like to say. I mean, I want to be careful about how I say them. The SURF bus line has been a long time project of TMC, of MST. There were many different options studied. The intent from where I sit has always been for rail on this section. Getting to rail has a number of steps required to get us there. And to start with rail has been a non-starter. So the bus rapid transit, from everything I've read and understood, bus rapid transit is a step towards intercity rail. So, so to be clear about my intent for the community that I represent, it is to ultimately have rail along the section of track, which is every action that we've taken to this point. I want to be really clear on that point. I hear the concerns from some members of the community about the SURF bus rapid transit line, about bus ridership. I'm raising a young child who may or may not choose to get a driver's license, but the need for transit between Marina, Salinas, Santa Cruz, Monterey, Seaside, it's real. We're building housing in one community where we have workforce in another. The SURF bus stop and transit for me represents a vision for the future of how we're going to remain interconnected, how we're going to address our jobs, housing gaps, or how we're going to move hospitality, tourism from one place to another, and how we think about the future of transportation that maybe doesn't require us to have to every person have a vehicle, especially when we're building housing that doesn't allow for parking or doesn't include parking. Like, we owe it to our future residents to have a vision for the future. So I just want to be really clear about where I stand. I'm supportive of the Surf Bus Line project, and I believe that it does provide us a step forward towards ultimately having rail along that section of travel. I also went to the MAT. I have actively been working to eliminate blight in our community, and the rail line had been a site of blight. We had that old fence we took down. There were some issues along the rail, and I was really excited about the fact that we would have someone come into the community right around the corner from my house to work to help us eliminate that blight and bring vibrancy to an area that hadn't had it. And I've loved seeing the vibrancy of the rail cars. And I just have to say, I'm really disappointed that that this is where we find ourselves at today. And my commitment will be to continue to listen to community, to get answers to questions that community members have, as the mayor has continuously done. But I hope that TAMC and MST can continue to work through challenges as they come up. There, someone said there's no big project like this that doesn't have obstacles along the way. But I fully believe that we can navigate through those obstacles. So I'll make the motion to support this item.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, I'll take the second. Before we do a vote, I'm going to go to Sidor for response.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair. And appreciate the ability to speak to this. As you are speaking to the matter of the SURF and the busway, I just would like to remind folks what 16 actually says and what the Attorney General's opinion actually says related to this. So I'll be reading directly from the legislation that Prop 116 includes exclusive public mass transit guideway projects. The Attorney General's opinion, which speaks to, quote, bus-carpool transitways, end quote, are not public mass transit guideway project. It goes on to define that a exclusive bus carpool transitway on page 2. You don't have to go very far into the analysis. Second sentence of page 2. Are roads upon which travel is restricted to buses and other motor vehicles carrying 3 or more persons, sometimes called high occupancy vehicle lanes. The SURF is not a high occupancy vehicle lane. It is an exclusive busway as defined in Prop 116. Caltrans' own Prop 116 guidelines state that eligible project types include, but are not limited to, design and construction or rehabilitation of exclusive busways, facilities for the exclusive use by bus vehicles that are operated by a public entity. That is what the SURF is. To Mayor Potter's point, my words could have been more accurate. To say no rail was being removed, no usable rail is being removed by this project, and it is not 2 miles of rail. It is 4,400 linear feet out of a 16-mile corridor between Castroville and Monterey. It is not a material amount. Neither is it material, nor is it usable by future rail projects. So I apologize if my language over a year ago was, inelegant. But it does not remove the fact that we are not inhibiting any future rail from occurring. There is adequate space. We have been very careful in our design. We have the support of state parks. To correct another comment that was made here, state park supports this project. The project has not been heard by the Coastal Commission yet. There has not been an analysis completed by Coastal Commission staff. It is premature to say the Coastal Commission opposes this. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sidor. Eloise, you might get a roll call vote on this.
I have a question, Chair.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
To the executive director, we just heard that this 4,400 feet of rail is not usable and probably won't be usable even if a rail does come down there. Is that, I don't think he's the expert in that. I think you are our representative.
Thank you, and I'm not the expert in that either, so.
Expert in that, I'm saying for you, we know it's advocacy, right? But I'm saying from us, for you as the executive director, is that usable rail?
I don't think any of the current rail is usable. It all will have to be replaced. If you look at this smart train up at Sonoma Moran is probably the closest example we might see here. They replaced all of the ties and tracks when they put that rail in. So I would expect when we have future rails, it will all be replaced.
And my last point is, I think our goal was just to reserve the right for the railway. And because if we ever get money to build it, it's going to be realigned as the engineers determine it should be realigned.
I think the current alignment is the easiest alignment, but when we try to accommodate all the uses that in kind of all of the factors, there will be a point when we'll have to shift the alignment of this.
Just a brief question is, do we have any definitive expert opinion on the condition of that rail? Because I understand nobody here seems to be really an expert to give, yes, it's good, no, it's good. I mean, we're budgeting a little bit, it's gray area.
We don't have a rail expert on staff. But I think from all the discussions we have, what I said is completely accurate, that it will all have to be replaced.
Okay, Eloise.
Very good, Chair.
You want that before the vote?
I was going to say that although we have discussed this before, that I just want to reiterate that the existing tracks will not be usable by any future rail project given its age or quality, and that is from the engineers at MST.
Not at MST.
With Kimberly Horn.
Kimberly Horn, engineer, William Andrew, PE, QSD. So we do have expert opinion on this matter.
District 1, alternate Gonzalez.
Aye.
District 2, Supervisor Church.
Aye.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4, Supervisor Askew.
Aye.
District 5, Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Aye.
City of Del Rios.
Aye.
City of Gonzalez.
Aye.
City of King City.
Aye.
City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Sand City.
Aye.
City of Seaside.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you. Let me have you just actually stay there for a second if I can. Always, I'm gonna try to do this quickly so to ameliorate any potential issues. I'm gonna reorganize our agenda for half of just one item, item 6, which is the question about Salinas Valley Chambers. We have had a request from member Sandoval who raised the issue to delay since he could not be with us today. I'm okay with that. Is there any public comment on item 6 being delayed? Okay, hearing none.
Yes, please.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I missed a little bit of it. You're postponing it? or-
postponing it. Yes, thank you. Okay, then is there a motion to postpone this item to our next agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call vote on that?
District 1, alternate Gonzalez.
Aye.
District 2 Supervisor Church.
Aye.
District 3 Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4 Supervisor Askew.
Aye.
District 5 Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Aye.
City of Delray Oaks.
Aye.
City of Gonzales.
Aye.
City of King City.
Aye.
City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Sand City.
Aye.
City of Seaside.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you, Louise. With that, we'll come back to item 4, the Fortech Canyon Delray construction contract. We'll go to Lori for that one.
Morning, Chair and board members. I'm Laura Williamson, Senior Engineer with TAMC. And this morning, I'm presenting an update on the Fortech Canyon Delray segment one construction contracts. So the Canyon Delray segment of Fortech begins at the intersection of Fremont and 218. Continues along 218, and then behind the Safeway, it heads down towards Work Memorial Park. It continues through Work Memorial Park, passing the tennis courts and the butterfly garden to Angeles Way. Along Angeles Way, we don't have any improvements proposed as part of the project. And then from Angeles Way, it continues through Delray Park to 218. Now, rather than do an at-grade crossing at 218, we will be constructing an underpass that will take us over to the other side at the Frog Pond. From the Frog Pond, we will take a ramp up to street level, then continue down 218 to Carlton Drive. We'll continue up Carlson Drive to Plumas Avenue, then along Plumas Avenue, ending at the Delray base along Church Street. On February 15th, we held a bid opening where we received 4 bids. As you can see on this slide, our low bidder was Granite Rock at just under 18 million. The project has a DBE participation goal of 22%. The low bidder did not meet that goal, coming in at 10%. We have done an evaluation of their good faith efforts. We've submitted that review to Caltrans and the Office of Civil Rights. We received 1 bid protest in regard to the good faith efforts, and that is currently under review. On this slide, you can also see that the low bid is roughly 5 million above the engineer's estimate. That is due to significant increases in construction costs over the last 6 months. In terms of funding needs, we have just under 18 million in construction contracts, plus 2.7 in contingency. The contingency is for unforeseen circumstances during construction, which we hope to not have to use. In terms of funding that has previously been approved, we have 9.181 million in state active transportation funds and 1.016 million in Measure X funds. Now, in order to fund this project, we need an additional 10.5 million in Measure X funds that are dedicated to Fortech. Even with this higher amount, we're still at about a 50-50 split between local and state funds. The team of M&S and GHD reviewed our bids and have recommended that we move forward with the award rather than rebid the project. In terms of timeline, as I mentioned, we held our bid opening in February. This month, we evaluated bids in the DBE good faith efforts, and then pending the board's action today, we would award the contract pending review by the Office of Civil Rights and clearance of any bid protests. Then next month, we would execute the contract. We currently have some pre-construction utility work that is underway, and that should be completed by the end of April. So construction should probably begin in May. It would take about 2 years, so it would be completed in the spring of 2026. Now, all of this depends on the outcome of the DBE review. If it's determined that the low bidder did not make the good faith efforts to meet the DBE requirements, we would then come back to the board next month for approval to execute an agreement with the next low bidder. So the board action before you today is to approve the project plans, notice to bidders, and special provisions. Authorize and approve and authorize executive director to execute a contract with Granite Rock, pending approvals and clearances of any bid protests. approve the use of Measure X funds as noted, and authorize the executive director to take such further actions as may be necessary to fulfill the intent of the project. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Lori. I'm gonna go to the public first, if everyone's okay with that. I'm gonna see if there's any public input on this particular presentation. Invite folks want to make this the raise hand function, *9, via landline if you recognize. Can't find the raise hand functions, typically your reactions tab at the bottom of the screen. All right, having met all those requirements, we'll close public comment, bring it back. I'm gonna go to Member Church.
I'm having a little trouble swallowing that in 6 months, the increase of the project goes 45% because of construction costs. That's seems a little steep. I think there has to be some other reason behind that. And I wonder, maybe you can explain how the engineer comes up with this estimate. Our process on that, something's not quite right here. This is not the first project we've seen go the way up. We had the interchange at 68, but there was, I understand Caltrans a little more involved in this, but for this being our estimate, I mean, that's 45% increase in construction costs for 6 months it's just doesn't sound right to me.
So I think there are a couple, the price increase is a significant portion of it, but there are other smaller factors. So when we first came to the board at starting the project, there was a preliminary engineer's estimate done. And then as we went through the design process, then that estimate increased based on actual design plan. And then at that time, the estimate was based on data that was probably roughly a year old. They were using the Caltrans cost data. And then the actual bids came in. So between using the year-old data from the Caltrans database and the drastic increase in costs over the last 6 to 9 months, basically it's what the cost increase is.
Well, there's something wrong here in how we're doing estimates being flawed. If we're going to be consistently off like this, and that's a real concern. Not looking at this project, but a bigger picture, and we got to find a way to get estimates. And I understand some go up if it's 15% or so, but what approaching 50%, there's something or multiple things wrong that we need to find a way to address it.
It's okay, annual inflation's only at 3%.
That's fine.
Mike?
Yeah, so under the contract, the way it's based, are there any of the components where they list out the materials portion and how much those materials will cost?
No, they were for items completed in place.
Just whatever the total is, okay. So as we move forward, because similar concern, right? Love the project, but these cost overruns are becoming very, very significant. And I don't know if we look at other ways to hedge our bets, right? So what if in a year we start seeing some of these material prices go down, right? We don't receive any kind of credit for that. So we may need to look at ways to minimize. And maybe that's something staff and the attorneys and counsel can look at. Is how can we put in those kind of protection components in? You know, normally we see it sometimes into contingency, but something like this, what if things change? Then we got stuck with a bid with no ability to get more towards actual. Right. So that'd be my comment.
I would say I agree with both of those comments, and whether we do something or not, I think we need to hear that they looked into how to find those caveats, right? And then I go back to Supervisor Church. I guess all of our concerns is these I won't say cost increases, right? Because it is what it is. But we just cannot continue just to pay what it is, because that money can be used other places. As we talk about transportation, right? So I support Portag, but I'm talking about all these constructions. If we just keep on meeting the cost of what it costs, what else are we losing in other parts of the county? All right, so I just want us to look at that, not against this, but just take a look at our ability to cost it out, and then sometimes I guess we may have to say no. Okay.
Thank you. I'm gonna go online. I've got the infirmary. We'll go to you.
All right, thank you, Chair. really hoped that I could have been there in person with you all, but here, I'm sitting here in Delray Oaks watching traffic and the pre-construction as they start moving the gas lines for this project. Hey, look, I know this is a lot of money. When you look at the contingency, it's over 20 million for a 1.8 mile stretch of rec trail that we're not sure how much is going to be utilized. But I think it's important that we approve the contract because TAMC made a commitment to the residents of Delray Oaks. To Supervisor Church's comments, I think the modifications to this project to meet resident concerns also contributed to the increase in the cost. And for the most part, I'm pretty confident that those modifications that were done influence the way some residents voted when it came to this ballot measure. And, ultimately led the project to be approved by just a margin of 12 votes. There's also a maintenance aspect to this. If we're looking at, trying to find savings, maybe through materials, it's going to make it much more difficult for the city of Delray Oaks to maintain the trail over time. If we, start looking at cuts to the types of materials that are being used for the trail. So there's that piece that I would also like to point out. And the other thing is, I think it's important that the increased costs come from the FORTAG budget for future segments, so that the current or future projects not related to FORTAG are not impacted by this. And Todd, maybe you had mentioned that. Maybe you can confirm that that would be the case.
I'm sorry, the increase does come out of the FORTAG allotment from Measure X. So it is part of the overall pot of money for FORTAG. We will have to address that as we pursue future segments. And that's something that that just has to be part of the analysis as we move forward and look at segments and costs for those.
Yeah, so once again, I think it's important that we approve the contract as it is and gain that future savings down the road with the future segments that will occur. And those are my comments. Thanks, Chair.
What else in the room?
I think Bruce had his hand down.
Yeah, I'll take care. I have to take care of that a little separately. So I'll go back to you, and then I'll go back to Turner.
I'll be short. I wanted to say this from the start is that's my concern, the future phases, particularly ones that go through Seaside and I guess other communities, about some of those design, the way it's designed cuts into our economic development possibilities. So I don't support us spending money cutting economic development in other communities, particularly my community. So over the next couple of years, I think TAMC needs to take a look at that, how we can save money, how we can keep FORTAG going through these communities, but going through the communities that in a way that benefits the communities other than taking away prime economic development land.
I just want to follow up on, I want to make sure I understand. So there are modifications that were made and these were not included in the estimate?
No, they were included in the
They were included in the estimate. Okay, so that did not add to the cost. I'm going to support this, and that's because Mayor Seaside's on my sitting next to me here. But I'm again really concerned about the future. I wonder if after this we can get a real breakdown, a little more detail on what labor and the parts, parts of material and other costs from our estimate. Probably was presented at one time, I don't recall it, and perhaps from the bidders as well, so we can get a little idea of where we're off onto here, why they're coming in. I mean, there's 4 or 5 of them there, and they're all within a relatively same range, so they're knowing something. Their estimators are doing something better than ours are.
Okay, so Chaps.
Can I ask a question related to the DBE?
is the DBE 22% on the work performed, or is it the spend?
Say that again, Paul?
The 22% allocation for DBE vendors, is that the amount of work, or is it the spend? So it's 80 million, is it 4 million goes to DBE, or?
So what it is, the state has a program where they set up on specific projects to determine disadvantaged business enterprise goal. And so on your particular project, our goal was 22%. So 22% of the work or 22% of the total bid should be performed by firms that are certified disadvantaged business enterprises. That was the goal.
And is it common for, do you see this in this area where it's not uncommon for vendors to not meet the requirements?
Yes.
And is the precision grade, is that the reason for the protest?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. So now given, oh, Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a little historical significance. I think early on when we were looking at FORTAG, the funding source was voted by Measure X and a promise to the community to enhance the area and open it up for recreation. The conversations we were having was what of the governance in the future? And the gentleman have pointed out significant points that there will be decision points in the future in terms of the community's costs for maintenance, as well as any future governance. And this body is probably the appropriate place to always have these conversations because it's cross jurisdictional and it makes sense. We also have the recreational trail along the waterfront. And so there are ongoing costs. And by the way, those are not funded by a Measure X source. So the cities bear those costs now, and they can be significant. So we're right to think about the future and the expansion of FORTAG. But also, as I serve in my city and I see the bids, almost universally, every one of the engineering estimates that are from the beginning, and we typically have annual through, as an example, NCIP, the community funding from funding source, almost every one of those estimates, by the time it gets to the bid, is a year to 18 months old. And almost universally, everyone is behind by several millions and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we close the gap by, once the bids go out, then those that do the work actually have the corrections because of the design corrections, and then we get the real bid. The real bid, you're right, it is the competition that produces bids that are all relatively close to each other. So I understand the increase, and I understand the cost that increase with a little bit of experience in remodeling homes. And by the time you start to the time you finish, you can add about 20% increase. The other thing I wanted to point out is that it's right that we question these things, because I think this is probably among the top approval amount that this body has made in a while, as well as, I mean, we're talking about $21 million. That's not something that we do every meeting. So it's important to really sharpen the pencils there. And I appreciate the pros. The caution I have is that we don't try and get involved in manipulating the results of the bid, because that bidder is guaranteeing to us that they're going to produce the product, the final project, and the materials that we demand, so that we're thinking long-term rather than short-term, and not try and cut corners and save and then have an impact to the local jurisdictions on that maintenance. I think that's a very good point to drive forward. I support it. It's a tough one because it crosses all the different cities, but the outcome is worth the long-term work. And I know that there will be a few bumps and curves in the roads and between the different jurisdictions that have to maintain it. But I think that we have an infrastructure across an area that the public is demanding that we utilize. And this is a fulfillment of a promise that we made through Measure X. And I think that this is the way Measure X passed. Without this, I don't think Measure X would have passed. So I think it's an exceptional project, and it's worthy of saying thank you to the community for what they have given us through Measure X, and they will now benefit use FORTAG. So I look forward to One quick question was, what is the total miles of the Fortag design? I didn't hear that part.
I think the total vortex is about 28 miles long.
28 miles. Yeah, so 28 miles for this expense is
No, this is only.
total miles of the Fortag construction zone
For this project.
for this one. Say again.
1.8.
1.8, which includes a bridge underground, which significantly changes the price. Thank you.
All right. So at this point, to keep us on the right side of legal, and I was derelict in my duties as your chair to not introduce our new counsel. I want to introduce Shane Strong of the Monterey County Council, who will now be sitting with us from this point forward. So welcome, Shane.
Welcome.
All right, welcome. Then to stay on the right side of him, because he is a veteran, and even with one arm, he might be able to take me out very easily. I'm going to reopen public comment, and in reopening public comment, I'm going to come back to Bruce Delgado. Bruce.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate Councilmember Smith's history on this. And I wanted to add that the original estimate that I heard when we were doing Measure X for Fortag was like a $40 million project for the 28 miles. And we thought, wow, that's a big project. That's a lot of money, I mean. And now we see 20 million just for one segment, but that segment is to the 218 nightmare on a bicycle or walking. So I'm really happy that City of Seaside can, City of Delray Oaks can get this Fortag project. Of course, I'm concerned if it might mean that sections of Seasides or CSUMBs or marinas segments would not get done. And so I would like TAMC staff to give us a little bit of summary, not today, but sometime soon, on what the impacts of this might mean to future segments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. All right, I'm going to close public comment, bring it back. Mary?
I've got a question. So is there someone perhaps in there of Delray Oaks who can refresh me? I remember that there was a controversy within the community about Fortag. And there were modifications that were made, if I'm not mistaken. Can you ascribe the amount of money, perhaps, if there was any, that has resulted in this change due to what the residents of Delray Oaks were requiring to have the project continue through their city?
For that, I'm going to defer to Mike, because I wasn't involved in the aspect of the project. So you couldn't add.
Mike Zeller, no, hold on. They were sitting in a line there. It was.
Good morning, Mike Zeller, TAMC's Director of Program and Project Delivery. It's a difficult question to answer. I think
It's a difficult question to ask.
yes. There were modifications to the project, such as the residents along Angeles Way were concerned about any infrastructure improvements in their community on their street. So the project does not include any improvements on Angeles Way, so that doesn't have any cost implications. But that was a significant modification that was made. We did with the underpass, we did originally start with box tunnel design. We heard comments back from the community about concerns that it was too narrow of a space, too dark, and this basically just not welcoming and inviting, and looked like it might pose safety concerns. So we ended up revising that design to do the back walls for the bridge structure that we are doing, so it's more open. There's more lighting, including security cameras as well. I don't necessarily off the top of my head have a change in the cost, but there was a cost increase that was associated with that changes in the design to the underpass. So I can get that information, but unfortunately I don't have that at my fingertip.
And that would be part of the increase that you're reflecting today in today's presentation.
No, that would have been before the engineer's report. Those were all part of that initial design and the engineer's estimate. So,
okay, thank you for that.
Okay, then at this time, I know that I've heard a lot of folks saying they're going to pinch their nose and accept this one. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for approval.
So from Smith, a second from Oglesby.
For the legal, do I need to go down through each one of those? Or we can just say we approve of the agenda as it is?
Staff recommendation.
Staff recommendation, that was my motion.
Motion second stands. Okay, so, and I'll just state, I know because I've said this every time it's come up in this way, my overall arching concern is this idea that with Measure X, we've said the overages would give us the opportunity to do more regional projects. And we keep just kind of grabbing, so I think at the third project where we reach out and grab, said, oh, it won't impact, but it is impacting those other promises to community. And I get that we're pushing forward, but as was said earlier, it's just such a large amount in 6 months to go with such a big increase. I'm gonna grin and bear. I'm gonna be okay with where we're going today, but I look at projects like Halone Road and King around.
Text Eloise that it's time for. As long as you get a text.
We're moving again. Delray Oaks, I think we've had both your votes in a row for the infirmary and missed your vote.
Yeah, so we lost audio there for a second. We got it now.
City of Carmel, aye.
And City of Delray Oaks, aye.
Thank
This
you.
is Jasmine from the Office of Supervisor Luis Alejo. Our computer went out and we're trying to reload again.
We restart the vote. Can we restart the vote just for clarity here? So let's just start from the top.
District 1, alternate Gonzalez. District 2, Supervisor Church.
Maybe go back to District 1 at the end.
Yeah, Jasmine, we didn't hear your vote. Jasmine, if you're voting for District 1.
Oh, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so District 2, Supervisor Church.
Yes. I have one 3 times. It might be. Violation to it.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4,
To
Supervisor
only
Hassel.
count once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I remember it.
District 5, Supervisor Adams. City of Carmel by the Sea.
Aye.
City of Delray Oaks.
Aye.
City of Gonzalez.
Aye.
City of King City.
Aye.
City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Sand City. Aye. City of Seaside.
Aye.
Chair of the motion passes.
Thank you, Eloise. Thanks for sticking with us through that.
Job, Eloise.
All right. We're going to jump to item 5 to adopt our goals, policy objectives, and performance measures for the 26 regional transportation plan. We're going to go to Alyssa.
Sorry, there's a Wi-Fi issue.
Wi-Fi glitch.
Just.
Not even. Then, are you good, or do you want me to come back to you? I can come back to you.
I think we're just not connected to Zoom.
Okay, we'll give you a minute. I'm gonna go to Carl, since you're up.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna jump to transportation provider report, so I'm gonna go with you first.
Can I just have a moment? I'm sorry. Chair, do we have anybody on the 182449 here today? We're under traditional brown.
Or under additional Brennan,
Okay.
2240.
Okay, thank you. Proceed. Thank you.
Yep. Carl?
Yes, just a quick report on MST's Better Bus Network continues after a year of implementation since December 22nd. First year, we had over 20% increase in ridership over the previous year. For January and February of the new calendar year, we were over 20% growth on top of that. And then on April 13th, MST will be at the Marina Earth Day event with a surf pop-up. And you can learn more about MST services as well as get facts about the surf project at the Marina Earth Day event. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. All right, I'm gonna go to Caltrans. I see Orchid's on us. Perhaps you could give us the Caltrans update. All right, or not here in Orchid, we're gonna go to Dave Frisbee. Dave, give us the airborne.
Good morning, TAMC board. Dave Frisbee, Monterey Bay Area Resources District. We are bringing our next round of mobile vehicle emission reduction grants program to our board next month. MBARD receives $4 off of every registered vehicle in Monterey, San Benito, and Santa Cruz counties, which we take and use a portion of that for funding grants to reduce emissions from mobile vehicles. This year, we're proposing that the program includes funding for medium and light duty vehicle electrification, running our electric vehicle incentive program again, and bicycle infrastructure development. That's all I have for you. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. I'm gonna go to Carl. Carl, we see you there in your car. You got any updates for us from the airport?
No, nothing new. We're moving forward with our construction project. Everything is on time. In fact, we're a little bit ahead. So that's been good with the bad weather we've had. From time to time, it hasn't slowed us down.
Thank you, Carl. Stay on task. Anybody else here have questions for our partners? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll go to public, see if there's any hands up on Zoom. Seeing no one in room, nobody on Zoom, we'll go ahead and close that out. Consider item 7 complete. Alyssa, you ready to go? Let's fire up item 6. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was.
Sorry for the delay.
Jump around.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Thank you. I am Alyssa Gujar, Transportation Planner, and I'll be presenting today on the Regional Transportation Plan Goals and Policy Element Update. We're able to go to the next slide. Enough of tech issues. So the purpose of the policy element is to identify legislative, planning, financial and institutional issues and requirements, as well as any areas of regional consensus for the Regional Transportation Plan, which is the long-range plan that shapes our projects for the next 20 years. It looks like, okay. I'll just keep going and slides will appear as they will. So the policy element sets out the framework for selecting projects for the 20-year life plan, and it includes identification of goals, performance measures, and objectives that are used to analyze the projects incorporated into the plan. So here on the screen, you can see the categories. We have access and mobility, safety and health, sustainability and environment, equity, and economic benefit. Our process for updating this element was to review the context and goals and objectives from the long-range transportation plans in the region. We set goals through public and stakeholder participation, and we use local and state metrics and guidelines to shape the element. Next slide. This is from the California Regional Transportation Plan Guidelines. The policy element shall describe the region's transportation issues, identify and quantify needs in a short and long range planning horizon, and maintain internal consistency with the financial element and funding estimates for the projects included in the plan. So from our last update to the Regional Transportation Plan in 2022, we have a new survey that we had released last fall. We want to reflect new work by TAMC in the time between the two plans. We've updated specifically in the areas of sustainability and resilience, as well as equity and community engagement, with a greater emphasis on geographic equity, the integration of public health and health equity. As I said, a reflection on climate resiliency issues that are important to our communities. So with some of the TAMC work, we wanted to highlight our highway safety projects, regional rail projects, as well as our Safe Routes to School work, specifically the steering committee and participatory budgeting work that we have done in the past few years. So yes, so the public survey that we released last fall had a total of 3,000 total responses and 81 comments. And this was our first time using our new public input software that this board had the opportunity to test in the fall when the survey was released. And the kind of content was a ranked choice survey that we then looked at the highest percentage of votes and incorporated those goals into the policy element. Our final regional transportation plan will include a description of all the outreach efforts as well as content from the survey. So this slide shows a word cloud of some of the themes that we noticed in the comments. So this includes congestion, climate change, rail, and reliability of transit. The commenters were given the opportunity to be included in emails that will work to see further information about our RTP process. And I'll go over the categories and discuss some of the key themes in the policy objectives for each category. So for this goal, we had our key themes of affordability, accessibility, and safety, improving travel times for all modes of transportation, reducing gaps in active transportation, as well as reducing congestion. Safety and health. Our policy objective themes include promoting safe travel through a Vision Zero emphasis, decreasing air pollution, increasing active transportation alternatives, and enhancing public safety for all modes. Of note is that 72% of respondents chose to prioritize eliminating preventable transportation-related injuries and fatalities as their #1 priority. Our equity category highlighted was our rural and transportation disadvantaged communities having that focus, as well as new development in those areas, reducing barriers for access to transit and transportation for youth and seniors, and empowering our community to directly engage with transportation infrastructure investments. 65% of respondents folks want to prioritize funding in communities that currently have fewer transportation options than other areas in the county. And for sustainability environment, we had some updated climate and resiliency focus, as I mentioned, so including the previous goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and protecting our sensitive habitats and farmland. We included protection for communities from the impacts of intense storms, flooding, wildfires, and extreme heat. And economic benefits, our goal themes include enhancement and maintenance of existing transportation system. A new theme, our new objective is walkable and vibrant city centers and commercial corridors. and supporting transportation solutions that reduce costs, congestion, and commute time. We also have a focus on improving freight accessibility and reducing truck delay. That wraps up the categories, and this slide just shows the timeline of upcoming board actions. So it is not a complete timeline of all the steps to be taken in the RTP process, but these are the actions that we will be requesting the board to be taking in the future. And I do want to note that in compliance with AMBAG's performance measures that are currently draft, so they're to be approved next month. Those performance measures have greatly shaped our choice of performance measures, and so we will be amending the board action to just ask for adoption of the goals and policy objectives at this time, and we will bring the final performance measures at a future date to this board. That wraps up my presentation, and here is the board action to be taken today.
Any questions?
Look, I like the presentation, and I like the goals that presented. But my only concern is it's as a regional transportation plan, where we're not talking about safety components. So south of 101, how is that being inputted into a regional transportation plan where we're having all these accidents that cause additional issues? And the focus is more on the emissions side, the alternate transportation things, which are very, very important, right? We need to be planning for those, but not addressing those other critical items that are just as important, which is lives, right? The good movements. So you did mention the freight movement, but we're not identifying how that goal would be achieved by, for example, increasing the number of lanes on south of 101, right? Things that maybe the state is not supportive of, but if that is something that will achieve that end, it seems like it should be part of these plans as part of our goals. So I mean, I would just encourage somehow bringing some of these other components. Everything that was listed, I agree with. I think they're very, very important. But we also need to be planning for those other things. And it may not be what the state wants to hear, but it's our regional transportation plan that makes sense for our region. And so I don't know how to address that, but how to put those in words, but we need to somehow.
Yeah, thank you. So safety is one of the key policies, and the issue of capacity or congestion relief is the hard one. And we are dealing with state policies that get more severe every year that restrict our ability to add capacity or deal with congestion. And to the extent we're trying to do projects that meet our safety goals, reduce the collisions, particularly those areas like on 101 where we're getting multiple fatalities every year. And if we can help the vehicle flow at the same time, we try to do that. But it is that focus on safety for the reduction of fatalities and injury collisions. It is our plan, but if it doesn't meet the state guidelines, it doesn't get approved. And it has to roll into the AMBAG plan, and they have to meet the state guidelines. And so we are constrained that way.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I brought it up, but I feel like under the safety portion, there is some word crafting that could be done that would meet what the state is looking for in their requirements, but also reflect more of a regional. And I was trying to think of how that's brought up, but some of the examples, it's create a safe transportation system. That line alone would allow at least one of the goals to state reduce traffic fatalities, right? We talk about under the metrics, of how we achieved some of these goals was on the bicycle end of it. But if we can even state, reduce all traffic fatalities in some state, and then we could have we did this and we reduced car fatalities, or I think there's a way to meet it. I'm sorry I'm so late in the game, but
That is such, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that is such a fundamental goal for the agency that I think we maybe aren't emphasizing it enough. And we can bring back some more clarity on that.
and the agency does a great job, believe me. I know we all think the same. It's just the plans that go to the state, I think are important for somehow to just incorporate it. And I'll just leave it there.
Thank you, Michael.
I'll go quick. No, I want to agree with that. There's nothing wrong with us highlighting safety, whether the state or federal say we're going to fund that aspect. We should still be talking from the point of view as the citizens that are driving through our county. We know we need to work with some safety issues in some certain areas. And if the funding for this 10-year period is not there, but we still have to talk to our residents, so to speak, and our guests that are passing through, that we care about it. You know, I don't see it harming. I think you made a good point. They're not going to fund these extra lanes. And I'm not saying that we even have to talk about extra lanes, but we do have to talk about we're conscious of accidents and we're working to try to have policy that prevent them. So.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for touching on that because this is about linking and connecting. When we look at the slideshow, when we were on the safety and health, it's interesting. I had the same thought. And what was I thinking as we were talking about creating a safe transportation system? My mind immediately took me to South 101. And then I started thinking, wait a minute, we just heard from the airport. And I'm thinking about Highway 68 and roundabouts. The whole reason to do that is to avoid accidents and reduce the number of conflict points. And then I thought back to, well, we know we approved the bus partnership with MST for the surf ridership. That's about safety. So I think it's just a couple more slides that really puts it at the forefront. And what we have to produce to the state, I mean, we've got those guidelines, but I think this is what's the public need to see from what we're doing and what we're acting on and what our concern is. And let's highlight these things that we know are centered around all safety things. And this is what we want to tell the public. So the public needs to hear that we have an initiative for 101. We have an initiative to try and solve the problem from Marina to the peninsula. We have initiatives to try and solve the capacity of 156. So that's what this agency is all about. So I think we need to celebrate and tell the public more of those things collectively here in the health and safety.
I agree with what you're saying, and to me, it seems like everyone, you did a great job. I really like the approach. So we've got the goals, we've got the objectives, and now it's the work plan that has all of those very specific things that we need to focus on within our district. And I don't know that that's something that needs necessarily to go to the state, as long as we have the goals and objectives projected. Then we come back and look at the work plan for the very specific things. It doesn't seem like it's all that complex, truthfully. We know the things that we've talked about. That's where I feel like we as board members have a responsibility. How are we going to translate the goals and objectives into what we need done in our community, which is the
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to follow up on these comments too. When I looked at this, it was almost like policy objective 1.1. What is a good example? And I think if we provide examples to this board saying 2.1, these are particular examples that will fit into it, I think it'll be reasonable for us to kind of understand as a board where we're going from a 4-year level. But the other thing too is from I'm just trying to correlate some of the things that I have heard over the course of the years here. A couple of things that stood out for me is like there were events that were happening in the community where we provided bilingual or additional language services, which actually translated to more community feedback.
where will that kind of fit in here, for example? I actually attended an event where, there was, these, these Facebook, goggles where you can actually review what was happening with sea level rise, in the area. And I thought that was really effective with respect to communication matters, et cetera. And I think the state this year in particular, I've attended so many artificial intelligence meetings, like I've lost track. So it's like in the 4 years from now, I do believe that's going to be instrumental in what is going on from a technology aspect. So where will that fit in into the grand scheme of things with respect to the goals is also something that I'm looking for. So maybe examples might help, and so perhaps those could be listed there too. But thank you.
Thanks. I just want to speak to the overall. I agree with all the comments made by Mayor LaBar. Specifically, I want to talk about the history of South of 101. I know we look at it as a recent issue because of growing traffic, right? And we talk about, well, with increased traffic, larger loads, there's additional potential impact. But the truth is, it's been an issue for us for a really long time. The largest mass casualty event that's ever happened in Monterey County was when a group of Braceros were hit trying to cross train tracks there just south of Chula. Very real for me. I still have a cross that I'm about to put into the ground there, memorializing that event on behalf of all those lives lost. And I see it every day in my driveway as I pull out. And it's my reminder about the work we need to do, right? And it's easy to focus on the metrics and the numbers. And I know I shared at our last board meeting, we lost a 20-year-old just, a month and a half ago in that very spot that we've been talking about fixing. But when I look at the goals, I just want to see it captured here, right? Because when I think about the movement of goods, which is part of the economic benefit, I know that it's those 18-wheelers that are hitting pedestrian vehicles that are full of farm workers. Yeah, all these pieces tie together for me at that one place. But the projects that are needed aren't just there, they're throughout Monterey County. And telling those stories, I think, is for us as elected officials, we're capturing them as we're out in the community as to why these projects are needed and translating them into these goals so that they can be relayed up the ladder, so that when we have the opportunity to sit in rooms with leadership at the state level, we can point back to, here's the goal, and let me tell you why, right? And that's the piece that ties it together for them. I think that's the critical component that we want to make sure gets captured in this document. Again, I agree, it's a great document, and it's done everything we needed to do to accomplish the state's goals. What about our goals, right? And so that's the piece that I'm hearing very clearly from Mayor LaBar that I want to make sure I tie back into. So as we bring future iterations and additional opportunities to inform where we want to go, let's make sure maybe even just injecting those stories that we've heard, news stories into these studies to explain the why. So when it gets there, maybe someday somebody will see that and understand our why. It's for us, it's why we're here, right? We're here to make some sort of change. And for a lot of us, it's transportation issues or impact the community that we ran on that put us at this table. And it's why we are trying to make this change for fabulous. So we're putting this together because I do think it's really welcome.
Yeah, and thank you for your comments. And yes, this is a portion. So this is just a policy element, goals and objectives. So the policy element itself will have a narrative, and so we can include, those stories and those projects in the narrative. And then the draft or the whole plan will include project lists, which will obviously include our regional projects and describe why those matter to the region. So yeah, I'll definitely take all these comments back. And as I said, we'll come back with the performance measures approval. So yeah, I'm happy to read more details and that staff report, and we'll be coordinating with AMBAG as their board approves those performance measures and make sure that they reflect the goals correctly.
Thank you. All right, then let's open up for public, see if there's any public input on this item. See nobody in the room. No hands up to Zoom. I'll bring it back. What is the will of the board? We got a motion?
Second.
We got a second. Hearing no additional voices, we'll ask always for a roll call vote.
District 1, alternate Gomez.
Alternate Gonzalez, yes.
District 2, Supervisor Church.
Aye.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez. District 4, Supervisor Askew.
Aye.
District 5, Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Aye.
City of Del Rio.
Aye.
City of Gonzales.
Aye.
City of King City.
Aye.
City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Sand City.
Aye.
City of Seaside.
Aye.
Here the motion passes.
Thank you, Eloise. All right, we're gonna jump to item 8, any reports on meetings attended by board members and transportation agency expense?
I think due to the fact that Chapel's available and Chris was available and the mayor, if Carmel wasn't available, I was able to represent us in Sacramento with we have to probably get it over by
Central Coast Coalition.
the Central Coast Coalition. So we have representatives from Santa Cruz, San Benito, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Monterey County. In Sacramento was one night. We spent the day meeting with our Central Coast delegation and leadership on the items that were listed on our legislative update today.
All right, I see a hand up at the infirmary.
We're getting better here. We're getting more healthy. Wendy, I want to thank you for standing in for me. I elected to have back surgery instead, so I would have much preferred to have gone in your stead, but thank you. I was in Washington DC 2 weeks ago and did have the opportunity, not at the board of TAMC's representation or expense, but at the city of Carmel's expense, go ahead and talk to our legislators back there about 2 projects, one being the $2 million ask for the Elkhorn Slough area climate change and study, and then the other one for $1.5 million for the transit center in King City. I went to Senator Butler's office. I went to Senator Padilla's office. I went to Congressman Panetta's and Congressman Zalafkin's office. Everything was good except for when I got to Congressman Panetta's office. He was in session. We went down to the bowels of the Congress and went over, popped up and outside a hearing room. Jimmy popped out real quick and said, so what do you need? I said, well, we want $2 million to go ahead and get the Elkhorn Slough study going. He said, where's the Elkhorn Slough? So that was a little bit of a surprise to me, but I think we got him squared away. So anyway, it's a good meeting regardless. So thank you.
And I'll share, I did not work at the expense of the agency, but I did have an opportunity through our CRC where I chaired a meet with Fox on the Shotgun and raise the issue specifically south of Salinas and put that on his radar one-on-one. So that was a great opportunity just to keep that out there as we continue our work down that path. We were able to express interest in a follow-up meeting, which we're word back on, but they're interested in learning more about the project. That's a good thing. All right. See nobody else, we'll go ahead and close item 8 and jump to our executive director's report.
Thank you. So I really appreciate the discussion about the goals and objectives today. And what was encouraging to me is I think we're very much online with the board direction I heard. We talked about our overall work program, and we're going to have some items starting up this next year with Vision Zero, which are 100% talking about safety and focused on how we can reduce injuries and fatalities. So that's something that we'll be talking a lot about this next year. And we also are doing a lot of work on our regional projects around the county. We have flyers on the dais that are a public meeting in Salinas on the April 11th, where we're looking for community input on Highway 68 and 101. We have a separate 101 South Salinas meeting in Chular on April 25th. And we're also going to be doing some online community outreach, trying to reach the whole of Monterey County related to the alternatives that are being discussed for the 101 South Salinas project. So a lot of outreach going on right now as we're trying to define the scope that would be evaluated in the environmental document for the 101 South Salinas project. There's quite a bit of design work going on, and the team's looking forward to getting community input on that so we can narrow it down and get that environmental document going. There's also work going on Highway 68.
one of the issues that has been there for a long time, but we realized we might be able to help is the Toro Park cut through traffic that's caused about a 20-minute delay every morning for thousands of people. And Doug has been working after hours and doing a ton of work. And one of the things we're doing is helping the community look at ways they can reduce the cut through traffic and that they agree on, let them find proposals that they can support. And then that will be working with the county, it's in an incorporated area, and the public safety representatives in the school district. And if anything comes out of all of that we can implement, we'll help the county implement it. So a lot of work going on our projects around the county, and it's all in line with the quarter time.
I just wanted to make a quick comment on the Toro Park work. You are getting so many positive comments from the residents about this. It's been a nightmare and a problem for 7 years. And finally, I think TAMC is starting to get the ball moving in a way that we have been unable to do so. So I just wanted you to know that your work is being very much appreciated.
Thank you. Doug's doing a great job. And then finally, Form 700s are due on April 1st, and I think there might be a few board members that haven't submitted theirs yet. So if you could please get those in, we appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Any comments on the executive director's report? Seeing none, seeing no, we'll open up to the public. Seeing no public input, we'll close public comment on item 9. Announcements and or comments from transportation agency members on matters they wish to put on future agendas.
This is just a comment. Again, last night, TAMC had their celebration dinner for the participatory budget committee. And I just want to express how important this is. Not only did you get community members involved, but this really is leadership building. I attended the first meeting and all the participants, I'll just probably characterizing it wrong, but shy and didn't like to say last night, complete different attitude on how they participated. The subject was brought up. They hopped in with their comments that were very relevant to the issue that being talked about. So I just wanted to stress that it's not just getting people involved. This really is about a leadership building program. Every one of those members are more confident in their ability to address our government and make changes that will benefit their community. So that's something I hope we continue with this type of process. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, so because the story today has been jumping all over the agenda, I'm going to do it one more time before we close out. Orchid, I see that you're on with us. We missed you earlier during updates, and I know it matters a lot to the folks down in Big Sur, so I'm going to click it over to Caltrans and see if we have any updates.
Thank you for that opportunity. I was having audio issues, and by the time I came back, you had moved on to another item, so I was just put something on the chat. I don't have an announcement, but I just wanted to congratulate the city of Greenfield for being awarded the Reconnecting Communities Grant Award. So that was really exciting to see the update come in March 18th. So congratulations to them. That's all I have for now. And I'm taking notes of everything and making sure to report back to their district director of all the discussion that was made today and see the level of interest you guys have in all the projects in the Monterey County.
Thank you, Orchid. Carl, I see your hand back up.
Yes, quick question. Sorry, don't know the answer, but as a non-voting member, do I have to turn in my Form 700 to you?
Yes, you do.
Okay. It's in the mail.
We appreciate that. So with that, we've arrived at adjournment. I'll give one non-relevant announcement. That is that Mayor LaBar and I will be in King City this afternoon congratulating the King City High School boys soccer team who won NorCal State for the second time in 3 years. So if you're around, there's going to be a parade, which is a transportation issue. So be aware of it. We'll see you then. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.